Oh, yeah, totally, yeah.
Yes.
That was why when I saw her recently here, it's like, I was having a deja vu, but it was like I thought you were like a new person.
Right.
Because you were, the new dude.
You want to wear our
You want to do it?
Absolutely.
Anybody want to
What made you, want to change it up?
Just life, man. Hard things going on. I just wanted to know.
For that.
That was, but didn't y'all get the name Benoit from where you were from?
Angelo.
It was like a community or something like the Timacoa.
Yeah, do you guys want
Heights
to
or
come up and join me?
Yeah, I'm definitely.
I think it's recorded real quick.
something. There goes the audience.
Yay! Hi! Thank you so much for coming. So blessed.
Yeah, right. Hey, well, let's all sit in a circle on the stage.
Okay, cool.
And sing
Nice.
Kumbaya.
This is literally in my calendar.
Really? Oh my god, cool.
Don't worry, I've been planning on it anyway.
Sweetness.
Alrighty, well, I'm gonna sit right next to you. Yeah, there you go. Well, we have an audience online, so there you go.
Oh, there you go. This should be interesting. This is
Awesome. Alright, well thank you everyone for joining us. Welcome to the Artist Circle. Today we have a special edition. We are joined by a panel of artist guests, Hannah Stokes, Benoit Glazer, and Angelo Vasquez. I'm very excited to be talking to them today about overcoming imposter syndrome. So this is going to be kind of just a pretty casual discussion, I think. I just kind of want to get to know your guys' experience with the, phenomenon of imposter syndrome, and just, I think it just kind of, even just me saying those words, it just puts so much weight off my shoulders, and just talking about it, knowing that it's something that all of us as artists and just humans experience on the regular. It's very cool and very important to talk about it. So thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. All right, so I'm just gonna get straight to it. I'll have a few questions, and then you guys are more than welcome to ask some questions if you guys are thinking about any things, or if you have any specific questions for each of our artists here. So,
And Stella is joining us soon.
yes, Stella Arbella is
Our current visual artist.
Oh, nice.
She's gonna come and.
yes, she's gonna come
Yeah, I like
join
the
us
look.
as well. So can you each
Cool.
maybe introduce yourselves?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm Hannah Stokes. I'm a singer-songwriter and singer.
And she's a organizer. Like she's a mover and shaker.
Mm-hmm.
In my list of 50 most movers and shakers in Orlando, you'd be on it.
Okay. Heck yeah,
Well,
mover and
top
shaker.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
You go next? You next?
No, you go next.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
We know who you are.
I'm not here. I'm an imposter.
Wait, let's see. Hold on.
So yeah, I'm Angelo Vasquez. I'm a visual artist. I do drawings on paper, canvas, with graphite, and just recently I do more paintings too. So a little bit of everything.
Nice.
Awesome. Very cool. So I'd love to just maybe go down the line and ask you all, how has imposter syndrome come up for you, or like how does it come up for you as an artist? Just very broad question, but just any like recent experiences, or just any like one experience or any job, like one job that it really kind of like hit home for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think recently, last week I was in New York City for a show. That's the furthest I've ever traveled for music. And so that in itself, I'm like I'm performing on the same block that the Blue Note is,
Yeah.
which is like legendary venue for all music, but especially jazz, which I'm involved in. So I'm, standing on the corner outside. I'm like, I'm supposed to play in here? Like that was like the most recent, very daunting experience I've had with imposter syndrome. Am I good enough to be here? Do people give a crap about what I have to say? Am I going to be good enough for, whatever the standard of music is here on this block in New York City? And I still don't know. That was like really scary. But hey, I did it. I got through it. I had friends that came, and I think it was like, at the end of the day, everybody has something to say. And I think being confident in what your purpose is as an artist kind of helps those feelings. So I definitely experience that a lot when I'm going into new spaces and going into things that I'm not comfortable with, which everybody has to do at some point. You can just stay in the same city forever, doing the same things forever. So it's like kind of a cool thing to be able to experience that discomfort. But then also being grounded in who you are, I feel like is super important, and for me, and that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Anna. So, my name is Benoit Glaser, and I'm by far the oldest member of this panel, and even when Stella comes, I'm still quite a bit older. And that means a couple of things. That means I've seen imposter syndrome not only in myself, but in others. And I've seen many ways, many wrong ways to deal with imposter syndrome. I've seen friends die of, drugs and alcohol use because they couldn't deal with it properly. They had a chronic problem with it. And I also have ideas about other, adjacent things to imposter syndrome. Like different way that your inner critic interferes or can interfere with your work. And so, and I myself, I definitely, so here's my story in a nutshell. I played instruments in my youth, but I was going to be a scientist, a physicist. And my dad died right before the deadline to apply for college. So I changed my mind, like it was a life-altering event, and I changed my mind. I went into music, and I played tenor and clarinet at the time. So to make a long story short, I switched to trumpet at college. So I was an imposter. It was not only a syndrome, it was real. Like I was really behind everybody else. And so, and then 6 years later, I'm teaching at McGill University, conducting a big band. It's the most prestigious job that a jazz musician can have in my country. Like, you couldn't have a higher level of the possibility of having imposter syndrome. Enough that I had to change my physical appearance to not only myself deal with it, but others deal with the fact that I looked like an imposter because I was younger than a lot of my students. I was 21 years old. And so I couldn't go past the secretary to make copies because she stopped me. It's like, hey, that's not for students, that's for people. Like, okay. So I shaved my head, like I was on a motorcycle. I would come in school with my leather jacket, like do everything I can to look older than I was. Of course, life laughed at me. 7 years later, I let my hair grow, and it was salt and pepper at 27 years old. So, life has a way of laughing at you at every stage of your life. But just to say that basically, I was just talking to Anna before this, and I'm not quite sure how I was able to deal with it. But one thing that helped me a lot is by seeing so many incredibly talented students and who never made it because they couldn't deal with it. Yeah. And hardworking, blue worker, not as talented people absolutely make it because they were just like, it didn't dawn on them that wasn't their place to be. And so, and it just like, so I said, okay, if that, like my student, that person with seemingly no talent, let's call it, like I don't really believe in talent, but like difficulty, making everything happen, but work at it until she gets it. Like that's what like inspired me and said like, if she can do it, I certainly can do it because I actually have more facility than she does. Like who am I to feel sorry about myself or to feel like I'm in the wrong place? Man, I've got to be in the right place. At some point you have to trust life that life is going to put you in the right place. And that's one thing. But honestly, like seeing so many people not being able to deal with the fact that they were repeating themselves, or they like, oh, I'm not a real jazz improviser because I played the same lick as I played last night. And then like booze up because they can't deal with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like to kind of numb themselves to the fact that they're not as good as maybe they wanted to be or whatever. And so that's my experience with imposter syndrome, and the connects problems, the adjacent problems that are similar or different, but that have happened in your mind, in our minds as well. Hey Stella.
Hi
Stella, everybody.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So that's my experience with imposter syndrome, and that's like I still sometimes use false modesty, possibly, as a method, you know, you're going or as a means of expressing myself. You're going to see it if we have time, and I hope to present a project, and you're going to see that I kind of like belittle myself, or you know, and that's fine, because in the end I did the work. The piece is what it is, and I don't consider myself a real, like, composing is not the main thing I do, so it's a hobby. So it's fine if I'm not as good as I wish I was, or whatever, or wish I were. But you know, see, my command of English also, like, I started teaching in English at McGill, where my command of, like, I started speaking English 4 years before, and so obviously I didn't have a real command of the language. That's another way that's like, if you, it helps you in a way. It helped me get over my imposter syndrome. Like, man, I can't even speak the language, and they want me, like, they chose me. I did an audition and I won the audition. There's gotta be a reason for that. Like, my accent is my accent, and deal with it. Like, basically, that's what I ended up doing. You know,
No, 100%, 100%. Thanks.
That's cool.
youth and beauty, contrast. This is
You said a lot of good points there, so I do want to build on some of the stuff you said and add on as well. But to start off with, yeah, I think imposter syndrome is a big thing that a lot of artists deal with in general, creatives, because especially if you're self-taught like I am, you know, I never went to school, so there's always that imposter syndrome there, because if you learn the skills on your own, it wasn't taught by someone who had the expertise to give you that information, and so you always feel like maybe I'm doing it wrong, or maybe this is not the right way to do it, or you know, whatever the case may be. But if we're speaking about art, there is no right way to do it. You can just splash stuff on the canvas and call it art if you want to, you know, and by all means that works. And then, or you could go deep with it and get super detailed, shadows, lighting, whatever the case may be, and really learn the techniques behind different things. But like what you had mentioned when you said there's people around you who might not have the skills or might not have put in the work to get to a certain degree. When you have put in that work, you do have to recognize that. You do have to recognize that you did something that a lot of people won't do. You actually put in the work, the hours to get to that point. So if you down yourself, which I have done many times, even when I do a drawing, I'm in the middle of doing it, I'm like, do I even know how to draw? Like, why am I?
Totally.
Oh yeah.
This is trash. I'll throw it out right now. Like, I don't. This is the worst drawing I've ever done. Then by the end, of course, you know, I figure it out and I get to it. But you know, there are always those points where you're in the creative process where you know you doubt yourself. But if you actually push through that, then you realize that there's no reason to doubt yourself, because you do have the skills, you have worked, you have put in the 10,000 hours to get to that point. And that's the most important thing to remember, so that if you do have that imposter syndrome, which it will come regardless, you can then tell yourself like, nah, I deserve to be here. I did the work, and I'm gonna keep going.
Bravo.
Stella.
Hi, so I suppose the question is, how do I deal with imposter syndrome?
Yeah, so I was just having people go down the line and just talk about maybe a recent experience they might have had with imposter syndrome, and just possibly some remedies that you use to deal with it.
I think, you know, we all live in our heads for so many hours during the day, right? While we're driving, while we're having breakfast, or, you know, those very intrusive thoughts. It happens on a daily basis, and you have to shush that voice very purposefully. I think that for me, it's always good to remind myself it's temporary. Everything is temporary. Everything is temporary, the good and the bad, right? Those ugly voices that tell you, who the hell do you think you are? Really? Look what they're doing. Look where you're at, right? It's temporary. The doubt is temporary, and so are the joys. So I think that for me, it's just trying to remember, hey, I did something hard, and so to show myself that I got what it takes, forget about anybody else. So I have done A, B, C, which is not what most people do, which means that I can do D, E, F if I want, and all the way to C, whatever it is. So I try to build my own confidence on my past accomplishments, based on my past accomplishments. But you know, ultimately, the imposter voice, I think, is something inevitable, especially in the times of rest, in the times of when you come out of something intense, an intense creative time, and then suddenly you're like, either your brain needs a rest, your body needs a rest, you know, you're moving, whatever it is, and you don't have access, you cannot concentrate on things as you were before. That imposter word comes back, imposter voice comes back, and yeah, that's when you have to tell yourself it's temporary, and I'm moving on. You know, just that's what it is for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I learned something also personally from my friend Jeff Nelson, who was a horn player and also a tall guy and a very good basketball player. And he was like at the end of his bachelor's in horn at McGill University, he had a choice to make, like, am I gonna go pro basketball or am I gonna go pro on the horn? And my other friend called him up. He was already playing in Canadian brass, Jens Lindemann, and he says, hey, the horn position's opening. And at that point, Jeff had decided to concentrate on basketball. So for like the past 3-4 weeks, he hasn't touched a horn.
Oh my.
And he says, oh crap, I gotta go. So what he did is he dressed like Canadian brass, meaning like the tux and the running shoes, the white running shoes. He walked in there at the audition. He had learned, like he spent a couple days learning tunes that they play, you know. He walked in there, he didn't sit down, he didn't say hi. He played like for 2 minutes, and then he turned around and left the room, and he got the gig. Because, and then later on he wrote a book about things. And you the reason I say that, to tell the story, is because you both talked about confidence, and confidence is earned. You do the work. You know you can do the work. If somebody asks you, can you do the work? Yes, I can do the work because I've done the work. Like I've done it before. I know what to do, you know. And then there's another thing that is called fearlessness, which is unrelated to confidence. That's a state of mind, something you make in your own mind. You create that. And that is, for example, what got him the gig at Canadian Brass. That's what got me the gig at McGill University. Because I was sure I wasn't going to get that job. I was really well prepared, but I said, like, there were like, I don't know, 25 candidates, doctorate, people who had doctorates and stuff, and these people were nervous. And you could feel that.
Yes.
I don't know, I didn't realize that at the time.
Yes.
And then the other people who didn't get the gig, they were cocky. They knew the panel, you know, they were not prepared. And so they were fearless, but they didn't have the confidence. And the other people had the confidence, but they had fear. You can smell fear. You don't like fear. Nobody likes fear. Like you're playing, and the conductor has fear. You don't want that. Like it just feels bad. I didn't have, like, I had confidence, and I also had the fearlessness, because in my mind and that's why I got the gig. Now I learned something from that, and auditions and things later on. I said, okay, I can create that feeling. That's a feeling you can create whatever feeling you want in your mind. Like when you think about it, circumstances sometimes kind of force an emotion onto you. You can decide to disregard that and create your own emotion if you want. Like our brains are perfectly capable of doing that. That's what actors do all the time. That's what you do when you're creating something. That's what if you're creating something, obviously you're creating something, right? So you can create that state of mind, and that is a very big part of letting go of the imposter syndrome, because you can decide it's a choice. Everything our brain does is a choice. So you just choose to disregard that feeling. I don't want that feeling. I want that feeling.
Yeah.
Choose the good feeling. The feeling of fearlessness is a much better feeling. Like, I'm not talking about if I'm walking on the edge of a 800-foot cliff, I'm going to choose fearlessness and play with gravity. I'm not going to do that. But I mean, in creative space, you're not going to hurt yourself, most likely. I mean, as a trumpet player, I actually could sometimes, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not about.
The worst is you'll feel bad, maybe.
Yeah. But
maybe.
Most likely, you're not going to hurt yourself physically. Right. So why not choose that path of fearlessness?
That's it.
I think. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask. I mean, that's a really great, amazing point. I was just gonna ask, like, what for people who maybe struggle to build that confidence into that, maybe like avoid their artistic mediums because they're like, oh, I'm not even good enough to do that. I mean, I struggle with that as
Yeah,
someone
but that's fear.
hasn't-
It's not confidence.
I see.
Confidence, you cannot not feel confident about what you know you can do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So your advice would be maybe just to spend more time with it.
Do what you need to
Do
do
what you need to do.
to build your confidence,
I see.
and then once you've built your confidence, that thing is done.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about confidence anymore.
Hmm.
It's all about fear at that point, or fear, or the lack of fear,
I see.
and that's a choice.
Yeah, I think
So the building confidence, that's not a choice. That you have to do. You have to do
you
it.
Just do it.
So if you drawing, you have to draw until you're good,
Yeah.
and you're gonna, if you keep drawing, you're gonna get better at it, and whatever level you're at, you've done that. So if you're there, you've done that. But if you're there, you've done that. You've done something. Like if you have not done anything, you try it for the first time. Of course, you don't have any confidence.
Right.
You're there. The only thing that's left is the choice: do I fear it or do I go for it?
Hmm.
But aside from that, as soon as you start practicing or doing whatever it is you're doing, then you build confidence. And every minute that you practice, you're building more confidence. That thing is not going away.
I was just going to say that not only that, it's not going away as long as you do it. The moment you step back, the moment you step out, there it is again. And that's the beauty of it, that you have to keep at it. You have to keep evolving yourself. Otherwise, your I think reptilian brain will tell you that's where you were. That's where you are. You can't do that again. That was 2 months ago. Are you kidding me? And or years will pass by because you did something 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and fear hasn't allowed you to do that, right? And so I think that the key is to keep doing it regardless of how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Because we can't always, nobody's perfect. We can't create the thing that we like every time. Also, on the subject of skill, right? So the more afraid I am, it's because the larger the task I have in front of me to achieve still, right? So I may be fairly good, in my opinion. I'm like, yeah, I can do a few things, but somebody with less skill will say, wow, you're amazing. I'm like, not really, right? Or because I'm comparing myself to those that I admire. So, that fear, it's almost a fear of being too good. Why are you afraid? Are you afraid of reaching a certain point where you have no more aspirations? But the idea is that you will keep evolving no matter what, and your interest will keep shifting, and that energy will keep giving you food and what you call confidence. I think it's more like presence in your evolution, to the point where like, whatever, I don't care, I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
I don't care, I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
Whether it stinks or not, I'm doing my thing. Whether I say it's bad or not, it doesn't matter. I'm still moving my thing, because I have a goal to achieve a certain level of craftsmanship or whatever it is that you're going for. And you will never reach that goal. The idea is that to never reach it, right? Because for me, that's what keeps me going. I want to get better at this, so don't stop. Like an object in motion will keep in motion, So just keep going.
Yeah, I think also when I run into people a lot that like at shows, when I do a show, people walk up like, wow, I can't even draw stick figures, and I'm like,
Right.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, you could.
You could.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish I could draw like you. You can.
Right.
Yes.
And they're like, no, I can't. I was like, yeah, you can. I've been drawing 16 years. And I got to this point because I kept doing it. Like you said, I kept drawing, and then I got better. And it's like, you can do the same thing if you want to.
And it's also relative, right? What some people think is good art, what speaks to some people doesn't speak to others. So it doesn't matter, when we're so afraid that we let that fear inhibit us, and which is the imposter voice, and we stop creating, we stop sharing ourselves with others, that whether it speaks, nothing is going to speak to the entire world. You know, there's figurative art, there is non-representational art, there is all kinds. There's an opposite type of art for whatever you are trying to do, always. So you do your thing, and those who like it will find you, or you will find them, you know. But the idea of having to please others or having to stick to a certain standard, it's your standard. That's the only thing you need to meet.
I love that you said that, because I feel like for me, as I was like thinking about my relationship with this, it's like, you know, when you think about what is the imposter voice saying, it's saying, you know, you're not good enough, you don't deserve it, or, you know, you don't have what other people have, and all of those are comparative statements to somebody else or to something else. And when I think about my life and my work, so much of it, like you're saying, is like that relationship with yourself, that conflict like with yourself, and that self that wants to be better, and then the one that sees, you know, maybe where you are and then where you want to be, and it doesn't really have a lot to do with what other people think or what other people are doing, because the moment that you're thinking about that, it's totally taking your energy and your perspective off of your purpose and what your dreams are. When, you know, everybody does have a unique voice, there is room for everybody, and I feel like when you shift your perspective away from that relationship of evolving yourself to competing with other artists or competing with other people, that's when it like becomes destructive, and where the drugs and alcohol come in, and where these destructive, but you know.
And what about like at the beginning, at the spark of the creation, like before you, like you have a blank canvas, a writer has a blank page, like that's like, you know, like writer's block or whatever the equivalent is for all of our crafts, you know. So yeah, exactly. Doesn't that basically always stem from ego? Like, because like the imposter voice, like that's ego, really. If you think about it, like it's, and so get that out of the way and like fall into the story or whatever it is that you want to create, and it's gonna happen to certain things. I mean, you know, not everything is gonna be good. Obviously, 90% of what I write is total crap. Even what I like is probably crap.
Even that is imposter syndrome. You're saying that?
Yes, but I still do it. But I still do it, you know. And it's the same. It like when we're talking, like, you know, I played trumpet for 44 years, whatever. Then I stopped. Now I don't play trumpet anymore. So now I have to start practicing because November 15th I have to play. And so I said, okay, you know, before I pick up the horn, it's like, okay, now I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to do that, I won't be able to. I pick up the horn and I start playing. It's like, oh crap, look at that. I can do some of that. I can do. Now, all I have to do is reposition my thinking about myself. Or in other words, get my ego out of the way. And then all of a sudden, I'm fine. I'm a fine trumpet player. Like I'm even though 5 minutes ago I thought I didn't play trumpet anymore. Now I'm playing. It's like, oh, I just shift my thinking, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. It's sounding fine. I put a mute on it. I change my approach a little bit. I, you know, think more Chet Baker instead of, you know what I mean? Like I change. I adapt a little bit to what my physical thing can do. Like we're all getting older. Like, you know, I play golf. I know I'm not going to be faster in 10 years than I am now. So what am I going to do? I'm going to adapt my game and still enjoy the game. Like you can still enjoy life even though you can't do everything that you could do when you were 22 years old. No offense to all the 22 years old. 23, whatever it is. You know what I mean. So, but like it's all about getting the ego out of the way, anyways.
And what feeds the ego? Recognize, right? So if you are not people pleaser, but a person who relies on outside acknowledgement and kudos and all of these things, that, you know, I think it's important to remain humble within yourself, saying thank you so much. I like, honestly, thank you so much, because, you know, for seeing that little bit of thing that you saw in my work, and at the same time I know I'm not worthy, you know, like have humbleness, because when you go, yes, I know, it did great, I did awesome, that itself is going to come and bite you, saying you stink, you're never going to be able to be that awesome again, right? But if you approach your creative endeavor with humbleness, as an instrument, as you are an instrument of it, right? So I teach at UCF, and one of the things that I tell my students, they're eager to impress. They're eager to impress me. And one of the first things they do is they give me these really complex value schemes, and everything has value, and has to be lined. When are we gonna do value? Like, not until after the midterm. This is my criteria. If you have not failed Goosebumps by midterm, you may not go on to value. Because when you feel goosebumps, when you surprise yourself, you're like, wow, I did that. Like, literally look at your hands and say, this is what I'm capable of, without judgment, without expectation. You just blow your mind out. Then you're like, okay, I know I can do that. You just need to surprise yourself and have those goosebumps and enjoy those private moments before you let the world decide whether you can move forward or not.
It goes so much back to just knowing your own purpose, I think. And I've spent so much time, I don't know if meditating is the right word, but really centering myself in what I think my artistic purpose is as an artist and as a person, and where I think my place is on the earth. Because if I'm not worried about what anybody thinks, then it doesn't hurt too much when people don't like me. And it's also, it's just gratitude when something does go well. It's like, thank goodness I'm continuing to go on, not, man, I am so great. Because you're right, it's like the same side of the same coin, the self-deprecation and then self-obsession. It's like staying in that flow of really being grounded in your purpose and what your true desire is, and then gratitude when things go positively. It's great. And when they go down.
One of my favorite things to say whenever somebody says something, I say, I'm just a guy.
And it's so true. And we're all just people. We're all just people. We just try.
I gotta tell you, I'm getting goosebumps out here. Positive, some things about just the way we should think as creative people and not take ourselves too seriously. But the humility and just the focus. Just keep pushing.
Fear is a strong inhibitor. I mean, fear kept me from painting and drawing for decades, right? So you have to get over your fear in small steps.
Yes, very much so.
And then remind yourself you have done hard things before. You can do them again.
Very much so.
Hey, we all came out of our moms. That was hard. It was hard for mom.
Probably hard for her.
But it was hard for me too. So
I'm here now.
I'm here.
But an interesting way about looking at the mother is she is the portal through which a new soul comes into the earth, and that's how a woman who becomes a mother should think about it. The portal.
I don't know
of a
how
new
she.
soul.
I don't know if I should tell women how to think and what to think. I don't know if that's a good idea.
But that's meant if the child ends up being a good child, it's supposed to be a good daughter.
Should we
Otherwise,
present some
thanks.
things?
Yeah, I was just about to wrap
Do you have
this
any
up.
questions? You have any questions for? I mean.
Yeah. So you still.
In the back, sorry.
I love your work, but sorry. What did someone raise?
Someone in the back. We'll come back to you.
Oh no, that's fine. Go ahead. If they raise it.
Oh Lord, I better make it good now.
Oh my God.
I had
That's all
two questions, but I kind of forgot one. But
That's okay.
I was gonna say about the other one when you're talking about the ego, but we have to criticize and analyze to make ourselves better. We can't just be like, I accept everything that I create because it's amazing,
That's not what taking the ego out means, though.
No.
No, not when you're creating. It's just getting out of your own way. That doesn't mean you can't analyze and critique your own work after the fact, or I think while you're creating, even though you're mid drawing or mid painting or whatever, mid tune, I'm gonna put it down. Sometimes I take a few days off, whatever. I come back to it, it's like, that sucks. Oh, that's good. That's then I of course you have to look at your stuff and make it better. Creation, an author doesn't come up unedited, perfect right from the first draft. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So obviously you have to edit yourself and things like that, but not while you're creating. After you've created.
And also just taking the emotion out of it, I think is kind of important, because you can still be critical and decide whether something's inappropriate or appropriate in the art without attaching like a value to I'm a bad artist because this
This
isn't
is
up to
bad,
par.
yeah.
Yeah, there's like attaching the emotional ego to something where it can just be a an artistic is a logical artistic process is a logical process, and where it is a technical process, right? Something can be appropriate, inappropriate, or good and bad in the work without you being a bad artist or a good artist for having to do that. And I think that's the distinction
The
there.
Beatles have how many hits? How many great songs, right? How many?
Come on, like two.
How many? How many did not make the cut? Like how many were crappy?
Yeah.
Probably at least the same number, if not more. And that's what I'm saying. Like if I'm talking about like if you're playing, if you're performing, you definitely cannot critique yourself while you're playing. You listen to the recording afterwards and you say, oh, okay, this is that, and then I can improve that. Oh, look at I'm hunching, whatever it is. Like you fix that. And same thing if I'm composing, I'm composing, and then after that, after 2 days, I listen or I read it and I listen in my mind. Now I'm an audience member basically. I'm no longer a composer. It's like this is bad. As an audience member, I know what I like. As a viewer, I know what I like. As a reader, I know what I like. You don't critique yourself while you're the writer and the creator of the work. You consume the work that you've done, then you critique yourself. But that's a very important. Like if you're a live performance, like if you're a performing artist, do not let any voice in your head while you're performing, because that's no matter how good. Even to a certain extent, I would imagine like affirmations and positive things they're just thoughts, and that's not what you're supposed to be doing when you're performing. You're supposed to be performing, and that's what your job is at that moment. Don't think about anything else. It's really a form of meditation. Like it's similar to being right there at the moment and taking all of yourself out of the equation as much as possible.
It's almost like a metacognitive exercise where you're aware of your awareness without impacting your work. You're aware of what's going on and you're purposefully staying within those parameters, right? And at one point you need to step back and take an objective point of view in order to be analytical and in order to use your education, your research, your role models, whatever it is you're going, right? To reroute yourself or perhaps reinvent a new way that you're going.
Right.
So it's that point where you're like, how objective am I going to allow myself to be right now? How into the flow am I allowing yourself? Because it's all about allowing yourself, all about you're driving the car,
And it doesn't have to be destructive to be analytical. That's the thing. I think a lot of artists, they will say, oh, that wasn't very good, so there's nothing I can do about that. But
You have to
never
be
go
You
anywhere.
have to be comfortable with being really uncomfortable,
Absolutely.
and know when to step away
Yeah.
and give it time to breathe.
All right.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you to this lovely panel. This was a wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
Really just.
Paul, you had a question?
Oh, I have so many because y'all are everyone on the panel represents another part of what I do, and I appreciate y'all doing this time because we have those moments, however we create, that we have those moments of questioning our capability, but then we go back and then we're inspired by what we see around us, and that's the key, just to kind of get your ego out of the way and stay on the path and be in the moment with it and challenge yourself. I do it as an artist. I challenge myself when I'm getting into the drawing thing of just using a marker without starting with a pencil, because it becomes a meditation, just like with a painter and a brush. If you're doing an abstract or whatever, but you're really focused on the moment, and you start to think organically, and it's magical. And the same in composing or when you're in the moment of performance. Just be in the moment. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna open it up to share some art here.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
I sent some files,
Okay.
a bunch of them. I'm like, just choose whatever you want me to talk about, and I will talk about it.
Okay, perfect. All right, cool.
But yeah, just like the first time I came, it's like there was some, you'll have to share it to me on Instagram to be able to do a thing in the future we'll share.
Okay, yeah.
Up here, I brought some, but I just came
Okay,
to work,
nice.
so